Greetings. Okay, playing it safe here on the internet, just because I have to. Even the thumbnail, I have to make sure that's not offensive in any way. God, jeez, it's so pathetic. We're just living in. We are definitely living in the dark ages. So I was gonna put some donut jokes in the as a thumbnail, but it's like you never know when YouTube's gonna start crying. Or some kind of gender issue it's having or whatever it's going through. So yeah. So go more into the donut energies, the astral realms of you think this place is insane. There's other places that are a lot more psychotic. I mean, think about like the characters in McDonald's. Oh, that's the other thing I forgot about. If I remember that, I knew there's something about the clown realms. You have your devils, your red devil energy, or your devil dimension, or devil realms. Of course, there are devil beings that aren't devilish, I guess, or not horrible, but there's others that obviously are. But then you have your clown realms, where there's also nice clowns and then psychotics. So, yeah, we'll think about that one for the future. But donut energies, like I say, they're not exactly the healthiest thing for you. And it's energy, so you can take that into the astral however you want, of just like a nice. I mean, even some attractive people are like that too. I mean, some attractive people make nice lawn furniture. I mean, they're so nice looking. They make a nice table. They look like they're nice fine china, and so on. But yeah, the astral realms, yeah, the donut frequency can be very attractive in the astral and be very, as an energy bomb, to really derail you. Same thing what he does here in the physical. So it just has a different way of doing it. So yeah, it's like a cluster of energy that is, I guess it all depends. Some of it can be narcissistic, or just like kind of like to shred your energy, like to really lower your frequency to get you to not think clearly. Let's put it that way. So it's not all horrible, but there's forms of it that can be. Imagine our donut energies that are not so bad, but there are others that are just like holy. Anyway, so we'll go into those frequencies. That'll probably be about it for that, unless there's anything else to go into. But yeah, the astral realm is psychotic. I mean, you look at I'm not gonna go into all the details of that. You can just use your imagination. When you look at this world, it doesn't even know if it's going to war or it's not going to war. I don't know what it's doing. Can't figure itself out. So it's like stop and go. So make up your mind. So we can get on with our lives. Yeah, the COVID thing, you're not really hearing about that at all. So that might not even be an agenda. Maybe a small one, but so yeah, it's like it's funny how that took the back seat from what it looks like. We'll see throughout the holiday, throughout December, but it looks like there's like a big red alert that's going to be a big deal, locking down the cities and all that, and it just is nowhere in sight. So we'll see, but probably not. They're trying to do other things, genocide timeline instead. So well, a different kind. Let's put it that way. So yeah, I can't talk about the Middle East here because this thing, like I say, YouTube's all screwed up. But also spiritual gurus who fail their incarnation path. I saw one on, not to mention names, that's kind of dying out, but kind of a failed incarnation. Just like people don't like this person. There's other gurus that everybody loves, and they're manipulating the shit out of everybody. But whatever floats your boat. But there are spiritual gurus that are failing their incarnation. Now, obviously, you can do good and then do evil and survive this, but still, the karma still hangs over them. But whatever. Like I say, do what you got to do. Well, I'm not mentioning any names, but yeah, it's like I don't know. You can fail your incarnation here. Now you can just make up for it, but others have such an ego about it. Yeah, they can go into they don't want to get better. Like, they don't want to do something good. They just want to be all about themselves, extremely selfish. Yeah, they can get pulled into the lower dimensions and just stay there. Try to get the lower dimensional beings to worship them, and then if that doesn't work, they start kind of losing any respect for themselves or anything, and just kind of dissolve into nothing eventually. That might take a long time, but that's one way to exit completely. So, but yeah, we're seeing a lot of those tricksters here currently. Of course, they have a huge following. Well, this is their world too, so it makes sense. Yeah, if you have a spiritual guru that has a huge following, but there's something there that's not right. Well, yeah, because this is, like I said, this is their world, so they run it. So, for now at least, what karma comes to them is another story. Some are AI beings that are here that are manipulating people like crazy. People just have no idea, which is nuts. Talk about all these portals and numbers that nobody understands. It's like a bunch of gibberish. It's all just a mind control. It's AI consciousness that I don't know if it'll get. I imagine it will get karma eventually, but it has a way of moving around it. Well, sort of. I imagine it all comes back to him in the long run, but it takes time. Well, especially if this, humanity's not, people aren't picking up on it. Whatever. Either way, the failed incarnation energy. Yeah, some of these gurus that have a huge following or whatever, but some of them are just horrible, and yeah, they can fail their incarnation. And if they have a huge, like I said, if they have a huge ego, they're not going to let it go. Like, they're not trying to, okay, fine. It's like, let it go, try to do some good, and they can evolve. I've seen that. Yeah, it's not just someone just have a chip on their shoulder is going to go on forever. So they want everybody to just worship them. They don't want to put any work into it. Without going into all the details of that. So yeah, kind of being cryptic, but whatever. You kind of have to here. There's a lot of narcissism out there. So yeah. We did the website. So the site this is a new site. So the accounts had to be new accounts. So this is a whole nother system. This is like a stripped down version of what it was before. So all this is, this part is still the same. The session energy is still, this is all the same. But the shop is not the same. It's still actually lower the prices again, because I'm not getting gouged here. So, but the only downside of this new one is that this here is not very long. So you can submit through a form. Also, you can, you order it and you can go back however you want to do it and submit your questions through email if you have a long question. So, but this one doesn't. That's the only downside. You can only put so much here. There's not much I can do about that. But other than that, everything is smooth sailing. So kind of stripping everything down there to for reasons. So time, it's a sign of things to come. Let's put it that way. This has been in works for a long time, actually. I'm still moving things over too, so it's not done yet, but it's close enough. All right, so going to the astral realms, and what that entails, jeez. Just anything you can imagine that's messed up is there. It's like Rick and Morty times 1,000. So I have that, and then the spiritual gurus that are manipulating the hell out of people. So where their souls go, we can tap into some of that energy and see where that goes. So yeah, it's pretty gross out there. So okay, all right, blessings. Here we go. Greetings, we have the Astral. The donut energies. Well, donut energy is a vortex. Yes, it can pull you in, create a new reality for you. Now, it's not all donut energy. Some are actually good for you, but well, you know how it goes. You just be careful. Yes, too much of anything isn't this? Yeah, either way. But that doesn't mean you have to eat a donut and all of a sudden you're in another reality. Well, not necessarily, no. But astrally, yes, they can. There are star clusters. They can pull you in, create a false reality, program you, and make you think everything's fine. Right? Change your perception completely. And this is an astral. Now, you don't have to worry about that here. But yes, you have a version of it here, technically through food. It can slow you down, metabolism, shut off, just yes, kill you eventually, depending on what you're eating, consuming, and so on. So, but in the astral realms, yes, it could be very a trickster frequency, but very lovable, kind. Yes, it's gonna look like a colored bear in the astral realms. All of a sudden, it's something else. So, it might look enticing and friendly, but then you feel the frequency. It's like, wow, why does this nice thing feel so uncomfortable? You can say it also goes into like the horror energy, horror movies, horror dimensions to a certain level because it can pull you down there. And what's the purpose of it is to entice you with good feelings, good, a sugar high, you can say, an energy high, false pretenses to manipulate. Now realize this isn't all of astral, just areas of it. And we can call it different dimensions. There's fourth obviously it's here in the third dimension, but then the fourth, it's on all dimensions. But it doesn't mean you have to go there. But there are forests like this, like a not, it isn't called like a donut forest, but you can say it's to make it easier to understand it. It's like going into a forest that looks like it's all kind, and this is astral. And then you get pulled into it and you become the forest and you become trapped there forever. There's different ways of looking at that. It's not just through the donut frequency, but people do get lost in forests all the time. It doesn't mean it's all a donut frequency, but of course the donut energy, that's just they're just using that term, but obviously there's several different terms. But for a world like this, it makes sense for it to be. Obviously, there's many worlds where this entity does not exist. For the better. Now there are like sugar realities where everyone's high. But that's a little bit different. That's just you're just high. But this is more to shut you down and to turn you to something else, or just to get rid of you, whatever it might be. And you can say it's also population control, even in the astral realms. Well, it's one way of getting you out of their way. Like you can have an elite system there, or just a group of beings that want nobody to mess with them, and they have like surrounded by like a donut cluster just to keep others away. It's like you're trying to get close to them, then you connect to that energy, and you get slower and slower and slower, and lose your perspective, and you just high on everything. You just sit there and get high all the time, and don't get anywhere, don't move anywhere. You're just sitting there, and just more sugar, more indulgence. So it's just something to think about. Now, there's nothing to worry about here in the physical. Obviously, you see it here in the physical. The donut frequency, if you just avoid it, it'd be fine. There's nothing wrong with a little taste. There's nothing wrong with that. Just don't get pulled into it like a drug. But once again, the astral realms, yes, it could be a trap. Depending. It can be also the same thing here. Just like a little taste of that frequency, just to know what it is, and educate yourself. Even it might even feel good for a second, or whatever it might be. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just there are other realms where they pull you down. Like there's places where you just, you have to educate yourself somehow about this, but then you can get pulled into the abyss like a black hole. But it's a black hole that looks very nice and fruity and clean and everything that you want. It's similar to the Pied Piper frequency. The Pied Piper tale, where someone is singing, playing a flute and luring the kids. Similar to that, but done on an energy level, or kids, people, whatever it might be. Some you can say your sports stadiums have that type of frequency, pulling people in, enticing them with sugar, good feelings, good vibes, and also they're kind of trap them there to some level and program. So it's more like a diversion than anything else. There will probably be a time when sports stadiums are probably, well, they just won't be the same as they are right now. There's nothing wrong with sports and exercise, but at least the propaganda will be find itself somewhere else eventually. But yeah, donut cluster realms where, they can basically manipulate where you turn to somebody else to be controlled. Yes, it's very strange to hear that, but it's like going into your chakras, replacing it with controlled chakras and controlling your mental state. So you can tap into these things, just protect yourself. It doesn't like being known, but it's here. Yes, a donut spaceship. Yeah, you can say they're here in other dimensions. Of course they are. They have to. I mean, who else is bringing it here? And there are some insectoid beings are involved with it, but these are usually astral beings that just don't have really a form. They can take human form, take all kinds of different forms. And yes, some of them can be very twisted mentally. So. Brings with the angelic realm, higher dimensional realities, a neutral frequency. As for your spiritual teachers that are doing whatever they want, a lot of them do have a narcissistic energy, but mostly a control energy about them. Those that are here to control society, at least the guru is here to manipulate. They like the attention because they can feed off of it, but they also, they like to be worshipped. And some of them having deities in their past are trying to get back to that to a certain level. And the only thing about themselves and nobody else. So yes, of course they're gonna, if you're progressing, to congratulate you, but really it comes down to it's all about them. Now others have actually break free of it and became a real person, just down, realize, some of them don't even realize they're even doing it. And there are others that are aware they're doing it and don't care. It's like their mission, like they put into their mind they're doing the right thing by manipulating society. It's like they deserve it. They deserve to be minions, controlled, whatever it might be. And some of them do get trapped in astral through this conscious, like, I'm your teacher forever. And it's not, it's, and going up against a being like this probably not is the best idea. It's best the followers that tear it down instead of just someone just calling them out, because they just tell them off and most of the followers won't care anyway because they've already been mind controlled. It's just like an energy in astral where they're a lot of the souls that fall for these type of things are lost and they need a comfort, a leader, somewhere to hide. So they can't see themselves. Some are not ready to fully see their spiritual side. Doesn't mean you have to know everything, but it's like, they're looking for a parent. Not everyone's like that, but there are some that are looking just for guidance, but mostly just some kind of companionship, somebody they feel like they can add their energy to. Like I say, if you don't get, you have mother or daddy issues, as they say, then they find in a spiritual guru that misleads them and they're not able to see it. And it can get quite vicious. Like you go from a manipulative parent to a manipulative teacher and so on. And sometimes it's worse than actual relationship, like getting a romantic relationship with a corrupt person. But then eventually you might see it. But a spiritual guidance guru can be far worse because that can be there a lot longer. and destroy our relationships, destroy your whole life, and you're not even realizing it. So, but then some are so misguided they can't seem to make the right decision for themselves no matter what they do. So then there's that. That's a little bit different. But as for spiritual gurus and their failed incarnations, it depends. Yeah, if they're extremely selfish, yes, they get pulled. Well, they lose their powers eventually. And if they do lose their powers, they keep, yes, a smile on, some kind of, a lot of them do lose their power actually right away. When they're, as soon as they make that oath of manipulate, but they already kind of made their, they already have a presence, followers. And so they already lost a lot of their power, but they just phone it in, wing it the best they can. And most don't notice. As long as they're there, yes, with the smile or whatever it is that they have to do to pull people in. So it's kind of like advertising. It's like marketing and advertising connected to it. But you're doing it, one individual's doing it. Almost says, yeah, like a rock star to some level. So, but what happens to them? Yeah, they get stripped of their talents. And if they are willing to give for, like be selfless in other incarnations, they can rebound. But if they're not, and they just want everyone to just worship them forever, yes, they get pulled into the lower realms and lost for a long time. It all depends. It's always different. Like an AI energy is very stubborn, and it goes back into the collective. And that's it. They figure it out. Yes, the collective goes to the karma. So, yes, there are AI souls here, and they're very arrogant. They're very persuasive also. So, but the individual gurus that are, yes, say they are, connected to galactic federations, and some of them are, well, they lie to themselves a lot too. They want to believe it. They also want to feel special. So they might have felt a life where they feel like unfulfilled. And so they found this opportunity to feel a little high. And then they trap themselves there. And they keep lying to themselves throughout their entire life that they're doing the right thing. Until eventually they realize, like, maybe, because they feel like when they get backlash, they're doing that. Like when people are protesting them, they actually get worse because they feel like, well, I must be doing something right. Everyone hates me. But then again, they're probably telling you your truth, but you don't want to hear it. And telling others the truth, but they don't want to hear it either. And so does this these individuals last? I mean, did they ever figure out what they're doing? A lot of times, no. Yes, they die lying to themselves. Now, in Astral, even there, they can still lie to themselves after they leave this world. Now, there's beings that are going to, tell them straight what's going on. Obviously, they're already told that, on an unconscious level. But obviously they ignore it. And Astral, they can ignore it too. Now, some just let it go. Let go of that character personality. It's like, yeah, but it felt that was fun to do though. And others are obsessed with it and continue with it forever. Yeah, it can be lost for a long time. They can be lost for a very long. It's like they lied to themselves even after death, and just wander around with other followers loving them, and just it goes on forever. So that's why it's good to be humbled. Service to others does help a lot, actually. Of course, some of these gurus feel like they are a service to others, but they really aren't. It's really about themselves. Once again, they're lying to themselves. And yes, there's one individual, yes, it's losing kind of lose all understanding of reality and trying to get attention for themselves, especially when they're not getting attention like they used to, not getting invited to all the events and not being praised and loved. And like, where else does that soul have to go? It's like they eventually, when no one's care about them, they'll just vanish eventually. So yes, it's a complicated situation there. So, but some of you have already picked up on a lot of this already. But then there are spiritual guru energies that are out there. Those are not authentic and just very powerful witch manipulators. or male also that has a warlock frequency connected to. So, I mean, some of these souls are just confused astral beings, but still, it's like they're confused astral beings that get all this information, put it out there, make themselves feel smart, and then their ego ruins them. And they kind of get, they get figured out, they called out. So there's also podcaster energies that are out there too that, are some of them master tricksters. Well, not that good, but enough where they put on a presence of, allure, attractiveness. But a lot of them are lost themselves. So they want to feel like they're, going in the right direction, doing something good in the long run. Did it help anybody? Well, it helped them figure out, hopefully, of the manipulation that's being put out there. Hopefully. So, but yes, you can spend thousands of years trying to figure this out. Some of you figure out quickly, which is good, but others have not, as you can see.